Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you guys for your patience. I'm here to talk about House Bill 5315, which would raise the tipped minimum by 50 cents a year until it is no less than 2/3 the minimum wage. Having a long-term plan in place to raise the tipped minimum wage will improve Rhode Island's economy by enabling our 22,000 tipped workers to be less dependent on subsidies, by accruing additional tax revenue on a worker's base wages, and by allowing the restaurant industry to be competitive with new progressive restaurant models and other industries to be competitive with the restaurant industry. So we all know that poverty imposes enormous costs on our society. What you may not know is that 12.8% of tipped workers live in poverty. A gentleman came up earlier letting you know that 85 to 90% of sales within a restaurant right now are considered credit card sales. People in the restaurant industry frequently try to claim that waitresses don't claim all their tips, and that is how they're making out with these boatloads of, I think I heard somebody estimate $200 a night, which please tell me where that restaurant is because I will sign up today. That being said, when there are 90% of your sales are coming from credit cards, it's impossible to hide your tips. That would require you to have somebody at the credit card company who is actively deleting your tips as they were coming in. If waiters and waitresses are hiding their tips, it means that they are hiding a full 10% of their sales. And considering, again, that they are 2 to 3 times more likely to be reliant on food stamps and other subsidies, it would seem that they are, at the very least, not very good at stealing. 69% of tipped workers in Rhode Island are women. And as I mentioned, they are 2 to 3 times more likely to be reliant on food stamps and other subsidies. That means that 2,800 waitresses are feeding you but cannot feed themselves. Waitresses are not the only ones who are at risk in the restaurant industry. The hospitality industry has 7 out of the 10 lowest paying jobs in any job sector, with the new bill that they're introducing to lower the rate for younger workers. That would bring it to 8 out of the 10. I know from personal experience that a low base wage can force women to stay in bad or abusive establishments for stable tips. Relying on gratuities is a precarious lifestyle. A consistent customer base and reliable shifts can put a worker in a difficult place when confronted with routine restaurant problems like sexism, discrimination, and harassment. Alternatively, a good waitress may leave an establishment they love because they can't survive the slow season. Opponents of this bill have said that there's already a topping off law, which ensures minimum wage be provided by the employer if the tips do not bring the worker to minimum wage. That policy requires an employer to consistently ask management to raise their wages while hoping that their boss doesn't take it as a reflection of their service. Some things that I've had my tips docked for: dirty plates. Don't know if you know this, I'm not a dishwasher. Slow food times. I don't actually cook the food, so the food time has nothing to do with me. Long waits at the door, which again is as far out of my control as it can be. And yet these things are consistently demerited from my gratuities. The short notice also makes it difficult for the employer, whose labor budget may not have the flexibility to pay out additional wages on such short notice. And furthermore, in the current tipped minimum model, where tips and gratuities account for the bulk of an employee's income, the restaurant industry has effectively passed the financial burden of their employees onto their customers and us, the taxpayers. I frequently make the joke that if taxes were voluntary, who would pay them? So I absolutely do not begrudge the restaurant industry for taking advantage of the extra profits that the sub-minimum wage allows, but it does seem to be an advantage that no other industry has. When I was organizing on this issue a few years ago, we were seeking full elimination of the sub-minimum wage, and I heard from several restaurant owners who are concerned that paying their servers minimum wage would force them to go out of business. Their concerns led me to alter the tipped wage model when introducing it this year. The tipped minimum was originally designated as 2/3 of the minimum wage and tethered to it, so that every time the minimum wage went up, so did the sub-minimum. It was federally detached in 1996 after successful lobbying by the National Restaurant Association, currently known as the Hospitality Association. And the sub-minimum remained relatively stagnant until Representative Reichenberg addressed it in his first term. My goal in deviating from his full elimination model was to craft a bill that benefited both servers and restaurant owners. Progressive restaurant models are popping up both locally and nationally. Local restaurants now have to compete with establishments like Hotel Providence, which has willingly eliminated tipping and instead provides their servers with $15 an hour, vacation time, and sick days. Corporate hotels are also starting to pay higher base wages to encourage quality staff to stay on. By gradually increasing the overall base wages, smaller diners will be able to keep up with the times, and by having a slightly lower rate, restaurants will continue to profit off the balance while ensuring livable wages for their staff. I'll end with what is perhaps my most compelling argument. 2 years ago, I came to the Senate side of the State House begging for better wages for wait staff. And thanks to the hard work and guidance of Senator Golden and Representative Regenberg, we succeeded at getting $1, and I'm still back. If we pass this long-term plan to make restaurant wages competitive, I promise I will stop bugging you. Thank you.